and voice to join me here. And welcome, Mr. Miller.
Good morning.
For you, yeah.
Well, you know, when you were talking your lead in, I had to remember a George Carlin joke.
Okay.
Which said, God has everything, but he needs more money. Got a grip, girl. It's money is a theatrical prop. What's real is labor.
Yeah, but the worth is not of its true value because of the slavery and the miscontent of what we have to get rid of after we've earned it.
Good luck with that.
I know.
Well, you know, when I was in Kansas City last week, Walmart closed 13 stores in Kansas City last week. What does that say?
Is that a permanent? Because I read somewhere there was a bomb threat of some kind of thing.
No. This is like China can no longer be the cheapest in the world. That was always originally what the war was about with the New World Order. And Putin will be what Edgar Casey says, the bailout, the bear. It will be the bear that saves the world, according to Edgar Casey. Now, I don't know what's really going on. I'm a nerd. I'm not politically or financially astute per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my primary motivation. That's why I live in Oregon. But, you know, it is about to hit the wall. Look at how much your food's gone up in price. You know, you're just basic foods from just-in-time delivery.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? What is exactly would you like to discuss?
You know, when I thought of you, sir, I actually thought that why don't we start where the seeds for where you got your first publication out there? Let's start at the seed of what
book or magical mushroom handbook. Those are old.
I don't care. I'd like to get and see what the stature of your trunk is. Okay. We may have new listeners too, so that's another reason why. Go ahead.
So Mike Hagan, I am a physicist, and Mike Hagan had me on before he retired with Dennis Kucinich. His primary focus was the fact that my magical and ritual use of herbs books, which were written 45 years ago, were to keep those specific herbs out of the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. I assigned rituals to them, and it made them sacraments, and that's that. And
cool.
So, well, that's how it works. And and so I've been a radical for a very long time. And today I write on mushrooms. Magical Mushrooms Handbook was the one for High Times I wrote. They did a big interview with me in High Times in February 1992 about my work with Lunar Base Alpha 1 when I worked at Boeing and growing pot on the moon.
Oh my gosh.
The first cultivations of marijuana was Boeing Company. And it was Lunar Base Alpha 1 by Art Pilgrim in the Boeing Scientific Research Laboratories out of South Park before they moved into Kent and became the Space Center.
Mm-hmm.
And that what we had, I worked as a physicist in charge of light. One of the plants I was working with was hemp. And we got into polyploiding and doing some space gene splicing, you know, to see what we could do with indica. That became the very famous Sammamish slough, which eventually spurred on things like the Emerald Cup out of Humboldt, whatever. Today, when I was going through, a few weeks back, I was going through Chicago Airport, and I didn't have my passport. I had just my driver's license. It was a local thing I was doing. I wasn't doing like international. So I forgot to pack my passport. And he asked for my driver's license, and I accidentally handed him my concealed weapons permit. Now, what would happen if they had lockdown? I missed my flight. I'm not kidding. Chicago is superstitious. If I had handed him my medical marijuana card, what would have happened then? No, I mean, I'm talking about Chicago.
Reality now. Yes, I get the drift.
Okay. So there is cultural shock in various regions of the United States. And when you go to other countries, the three primary words that are used for Americans and citizens is ignorant, ill-informed, and complacent. And there it is. Yeah, well, they just, they're hypnotized, mesmerized. The foods we're eating have been weaponized.
Oh, yeah.
Last week, the Navy did a weapons testing in Reedsport where they deployed lithium in a geoengineering project, brand new one, to see how it worked for crowd control.
How's that feel? It's just new that
lithium poisoning
okay?
as a test on a group consciousness and how to control a city in lockdown that doesn't have any water.
Pardon me,
time everybody starts waking up. But what's going on around us? And I am a physicist. If you check me out, you'll find I was the one that trained Navy SEALs.
Wait a minute. Can you hear the helicopter flying right over the house?
Which one? The black one or the green one?
I can't see it. I don't have a window to see out.
There it is. They're both over there. And probably smaller drones. And it gets down into insects if you want to go into, bugging around and take a termite in the wall. Look, we are basically creating our own aliens.
I know.
And apocalypses, plural, with imagination, because some false god said, well, if you come down here in the physical forest space, anything you choose with your imagination will be real and more.
Oh, yeah, that's the danger because people don't even get the drift of the notion,
Well, it's time for everybody to start training their mind because you are responsible for the thoughts you choose to entertain, whether they came from synthetic telepathy and, mind control or targeted individuals or just your creepy father and the way he raised you. Look, all pedophiles, all whatever, learn it.
Do you think that
so we're sick here? This is what the physical plane is about, is where we go to be sick spiritually.
Huh.
So once you get that and you start to train your mind, now you are beginning to raise your level of consciousness and evolution.
Now, is that with the idea of the fungus? Because I know that's where I got a lot of mine.
You mean the fungus among us? What fungus?
Purple ringers, baby. Okay.
Yeah, black mold. There you go. And black swine mold that grows in Chernobyl healthily. And now we got it in Fukushima too. Yeah, there are life forms that thrive down in galactic center. And that's what we're doing, is terraforming it for something else, maybe. Who knows?
No,
well, there's your imagination. Because if you can imagine it, it was like Merlin when he said to Arthur, anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. If it's possible, you can count on it.
Yep, that's the duality of it.
Well, there it is. And then technology, right in there. I am a high priest in technology. And so what? I get it that the only thing that's real is your imagination.
The thought.
Then that means that's the Jungian psychotherapy, third generation imaginal psychology, whatever. And so once you get that, the new book I'm writing right now is titled The Non-Local Mind in a Holographic Universe, How to Change the Movie.
Let's do it.
And, you've got a choice. That glass is sitting on the table there, and it's either half full or if it's half empty.
Right, it's all perspective.
It's yellow, in which case it's full of piss. But usually, if you look at it as half full, now you have just been given something, not something taken away from you. And when the glass falls over the edge, breaks, now you can look down and say, oh, hey.
But wouldn't somebody, Mr. Miller, wouldn't first somebody have to recognize that they have the right to make that choice instead of just jumping to one conclusion? You know what I mean?
Yeah, start with the Bible. That's where God said you were God's favorite because you had choice. That's the gift you have. And even if it's manipulative, microwave band, 0.3 to 3 gigahertz, I did that in anesthesiology, synthetic telepathy. That is still just a voice in your head. It can be very persuasive, like Muzak.
I've been there, and I had to dictate it that I'm not paying it any attention and that it needs to go away.
Thought forms and the way you structure water. That's what you're doing. You're actually psyche is being brought into matter using structured water with your imagination. That's how it works. Intentionality. There it is. So, with that said, that means everybody now needs some kind of mental discipline.
Right.
Meditation is a good place Some people like to read poetry, whatever. All of it, it's brain entrainment. It's the ability to take and use
stop.
the upper brain as a tool, not a given God, given, wherever it decides to go as an unruly child.
Right.
Your gut, okay. Well, the higher mind is basically the second mind, that brain, is not your first mind. Your first mind starts with your gut, enteric nervous system, and all the neurotransmitters there. They're the ones. That's instinctive. That's the part that is outside space-time and is closer to purpose than your conscious point of what is called intent, what actually ends up at the end of the day, whether you did it kicking and screaming and you created karma, or you flowed like Buddha. Doesn't matter. Intent and purpose are so close together, but purpose starts with the first brain.
But Mr. Miller, it does matter, because it is the internal dialogue of the belief system, to the point that it will manifest if you give it that much energy and resources of attention.
So, boiling that statement down into usable, yeah, okay, don't can you kid her here? Basically, if you had been born in Pakistan, you would have been a Muslim. So the fact that you're a Christian is semi-arbitrary. And one of the first protocols I train SEALs on is how to take a belief system and change it like you would a pair of clothing. Mm-hmm. Because if you're a staunch Christian and two aliens walked in the door, the big question in what the bleep would be, could you see them?
Right.
And so basically your beliefs open and close certain doors. Mm-hmm. And so they should be used like tools, not given God, given the divine. Now, here it gets better. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I'm a Quaker, just so for the record, a scene to be more precise. And I taught comparative religion at Harvard as a graduate course for 11 years in the natural sciences, not social. So what we're trying to talk about now is how you change reality with belief systems. And really, I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't believed it. Now, once you get that concept, that's what the upper brain is for, is to make all your beliefs true. Mm-hmm.
Does that go on a different dimension as well, even though it's facilitated from this dimension?
Well, if you use your upper brain, okay, the two options are you're going to get out of there alive or you're going to get shot. And so, well, that means you've got two options going on rather than your instinct, which just drives you. And that's closer to purpose outside space-time. And so that is the one that when you are able to do that, now the SEAL's mission becomes their purpose and they don't make mistakes.
Right. Because it's inherited already
it's part
there.
Of the whole system. Mm-hmm. And now, with all of that said, I have a pair of bell-bottom pants I'm never going to throw away. Mm-hmm. I can't never fit in them again. Get a grip. But by 33-inch waist, I don't think so. But they represent a part of my life that's so comfortable. I go back there like Christianity as a cocoon or something to keep me warm and fuzzy. It does not.
I have a pair of hand-sewn patch jeans that are just like that to me. They're like 35 years old.
And you'll never wear them again. But
yeah, I could, because I'm still my size as I was then. I didn't hang on to this third dimensional world to control me. Go ahead.
No, I'm like you. I have actually titanium in every single limb in my body, in my gut.
Okay.
I'm actually not. I'm more like a Kmart markdown special. Should have seen me trying to go through airports. Now they do ultrasound for people like me. Where I held my hands over my head and then they rattle my toothpick that's in my pocket.
Uh-oh. I mean, you couldn't even carry your little back pocket canteen with you, man. It's just like, jeez.
Concealed weapons permit. What? Whoop, whoop. Lockdown. And no sense of humor.
Oh, I know, because they're all dialogue from fluorescent lights. System, they're getting the wrong color in the environment.
So the way they did that in grade school is, look, children, over here, there's ISIS. Oh, wait, children, look, over there, China is da-da-da-da-da. Distract.
Mr. Beale.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Bill. Oh, no. And, you know, I've been there and I've seen it all. And now I'm here to tell you what I now am getting is a bigger picture. And nothing that we're being told is real.
Right.
9/11 didn't happen. I have a Facebook post. I blog every day on what I think are important videos and or disclosures. And today, docram.com, DOCRAM for Richard Allen Miller, docram.com is Facebook. And today I posted one on, I don't know, the idea that the deployment of this weapon up in Reedsport using lithium. It's a brand new experiment. They did a test, very targeted, very precision. What are they going to do in New York City if the grid goes down and they can't deliver water?
Not my problem or not my fault. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but get equipped. You know, where you're living in Asheville, same chapter, third verse.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so just a little lower down, less lithium for crowd control. I don't know what's actually happening. I probably, with my pay grade, and I'm a GS-18, that's a 2-star general civilian equivalent in running bunkers. I will know that there are many, many things I will never know at any level because I'm not accessed. This New World Order thing is out of control. This is where transnational corporations are bigger than the United States. And when Monsanto threatens the state of Connecticut with bankruptcy if they didn't take their GMO ban off the roll, and they did it. That happened last year. That's how it works. Right now, my daughter, I'm so proud of her, is controller for the state of Oregon. That means she runs all the budget. They call her to the penny pulla, and it gets better. She said Johnson & Johnson wax, which is 40th down in pharmaceutical houses, is 4 times the cash flow budget of the state of Oregon, which is $8.4 billion. You don't seem to realize, we don't seem to realize, it all has changed. And I posted a thing yesterday that you want to watch from JFK assassination to 9/11. And it is a documentary that runs down who shot Kennedy and what's going on right now by a 1%er group today's post on Facebook, for example, was who benefited from 9/11? Who made money? Follow the money.
Well, whose money also got stolen, sweetheart? You know, it was one big gold heist.
Penny, they run this video runs down who made money. When you watch Building 7 come down, Judy Wood, all that stuff, and I'm watching the 617-foot iron steel girder as it's falling in free fall is dissolving and evaporating. That is not thermite. I trained SEALs. That was a controlled thermonuclear fission bomb using fullerenes. And I wrote about that. That weapon is now being deployed in Gaza and Yemen.
What's the aftermath of that? What kind of residue does it leave over? I mean, because it's just adulterated everything.
It is a neutron bomb. I have in that article, I can upload that to you, from last year, I got Arnold Schwarzenegger looking at the target, which is deuterium, at the National Ignition Facility in Livermore, there when he was governor. And so that weapon has been around a long time and is being deployed. Where is that on the media? And I've been physically for the government, Antarctica. Where are those Nazis from the 60s? Now, I am really kind of aware and am military and can say it's not us. Who's doing it? And that's where you come to the Republican and Democratic parties running stooges for these world transnational corporations. And one of which is the Republican Party is running a bunch of jokes so that it will be a fait accompli for Hillary Clinton. And what she will do is then appoint her husband, Bill, to head the United Nations. And what you will have is the single most powerful people in the world working directly for the Bushes. Oh, yes, the Bushes are mentioned. There they are. And terms profiting from 9/11 and getting a terrorism bill through Congress, so that the Homeland Security could become a reality. And how did Yoda put it? My gun you may have, after I give you my bullets I will.
I had to mute because I was stuck in a toke. This is just like, oh my gosh, too darn much. Because I can see it.
Yeah. Well, it isn't. I do it.
Oh, man. You know, Fubard, you got an elemental periodic table for Fubard?
So, in periodic chart, in case you're interested, it is no longer Mendeleev in his periodic chart. We now have a series of them in terms of the way each metal, like silver, behaves in different structural forms. And and water is the memory part, is what touches up against each one, and it's so small, it's like literally 1,000,000 times more accurate than our current gallium arsenide forbidden zones that we call. We call them exclusion zones in water, but that's because it's a different type of way the information is stored, but it's the same.
Dr. Miller, where do they get the clean, pure water?
From the ground. You can well water, and then you can say grace at table, and that changes everything. Rustum Roy at Penn State is doing work, you did now, on homeopathy, where you put what my SEALs used to do when we go into another country, we always carried a small pipe of baking soda. And you have a big jug of water, and you just put a very small amount of baking soda in it, and it'll immediately restructure the pH. And so with that said, that's essentially critical, because if you are drinking 6.8 water pH out of plastic, you are taking now all your water from bone marrow to cause digestion, and it's creepy. All you're doing is going to the toilet. If you do 7, at least you're neutral. What you really want is 8.4 pH, and that will go directly into digestive processes, and you'll find that you're urinating less and have better toxin flow through the kidneys. Now, with all of that, that's old physics. You know, you start with your water, just like you start with your physical plane. My book, Power Tools for the 21st Century, are the 8 protocols that I train SEALs on. And the first one is the physical plane, food you eat, pharmaceutical. You got to have something to launch from, because your spiritual body is a representation of your physical. What's wrong with going to a fat doctor? I mean, the metaphor doesn't hold. So there it is.
Or a skinny shaft? Oh, no.
Well, there's metaphor. That's how it works. And if you want to know where you are spiritually, look at your physical body. That's a good place to start it. Now, what you do...
Well, wait a minute, because I'm like maybe 100 pounds, and we're coming up to our first break, so I just thought I'd get you so you can catch a breath. And yeah, but wait a minute, I'm full of spirit, man. I can walk into a room and change it without trying.
Yes, but can you walk on water like, I don't know.
Well, the water structure isn't the same as it was. You know, I'm a big thing with water. I like water, but when BP oil spill had happened, I was out of Florida after that, after 50 years, because I saw the death on the beach coming up.
Was the spill? Is the possibility that something else was going on in the Gulf Stream, changing the Gulf Stream currents, so that we will, in fact, have a day after tomorrow?
Oh, so you think the reverse, does that mean a pole flip?
No,
okay.
I mean, the pole shift is going to happen also.
Oh, thank you.
And that's Bert Bolin, University of Stockholm, Sweden. He's a Nobel Prize winner in geoastrophysics, like John Wheeler. Now, with that said, that is going to happen. I don't know how. It's recurring every 3,600 years with Nibiru. There's the Clovis. There's the depicting on the graph walls. And here's the Hopi singing 3,600 years later about that myth. That's what medicine is in American Indian, is their songs and dances, their memory, like an enemy mine. And when you look, we knew about Nibiru 200 years ago when anthropologists were seeing it on the wall.
They called it wormwood in the Bible, right?
Well, there's lots. Which Bible? Cauldron? Or are you talking to, say, I was a scholar. There's lots of Bible.
Well, you're going to be able to give that voice a break. We're at our first segment here. We'll be back in just a few whichevers. Thanks. Yes, welcome back. We are here at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. This is Adventures of a Feral Something Hippie. And today my typing guest has, or is, or will be, hi, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. How are you, bud? That was a great break.
You're reminding me of that movie when Ted met Alice and the woman tells the waiter, I want to eat what she's eating. I want to smoke what you're smoking. That's what I want to do. Just kidding.
Yeah, thanks. Because what? WTF? I mean, wait a minute.
Where do you live? Is that legal? Where do you live?
They have made edibles on the docket to kind of let that happen, but otherwise, North Carolina.
Oh my God! Boone has that was where one of the first pharmaceutical houses, Wilcox Natural Products. Before that, it was Wilcox Drug Company, and then it became Coca-Cola, and then a bunch of other things down there.
I see Asheville as the unbuckled belt buckle of the Bible Belt.
Well,
and I know.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I love to become an Elmer Gantry myself. I'll slap that Bible and make the clouds part, just like he could. Bring the rain on. You guys are going underwater this year.
Whoa, thanks.
Well, it's happening in South Carolina, and guess what? New York has had a record snowfall. It's going to happen.
Hey, we're at 3,000 altitude. I think that would mean that we'd have to have an asteroid or something else hit the East Coast then, sir.
Well, no, you just got your Tennessee Valley Authority. That'll take care of you.
What do you mean?
Radiation. All your plants are leaking. Look at your NETC.
Oh, do I have to get bummed out, man? I was having a good time.
You'd rather glow in the dark. Yeah, there you go. Well, it's all
you on the West Coast with that Fukushima. I don't think that mold crap in the radiation chamber is going to eat fast enough, okay?
So there is a website, the NETC.com. That's Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center.com, NETC.com. That will give you a minute-by-minute update of what's happening in North Carolina and Wilco. And you have red contour level alerts going on right now from the particulate because of the rain. All of the rain, most of the geoengineering, the weather changes, have been to stave off fallout from the radiation of Fukushima. And now it's raining. And so I took my plants inside. I was doing an outdoor grow, and I harvested them just before the rains yesterday. I brought them in, 16th. There you go, just like on the books. And they're hanging.
Today's the 20th, hon. But
yeah, I took them in on the 16th.
Okay.
That's classic for the West Coast. And it's all about the same. You do not, what Fukushima and the Radcons are going to suggest is a need for a different kind of hygiene in the way you do business at home. One of which is you take your shoes off at the door and you leave them there because you don't want to track in anything creepy into your home. You're going to do that same thing with your hat and your jacket. And sometimes, if it's raining, you might want to wash your clothing.
Oh, interesting. Well, gee, that makes me want to cry. Come on, Richard. Is it really that flippin'
You tell me.
hazmat suit
You tell
zone,
me.
man?
You tell me. You go to NETC and look up North Carolina for this moment. This moment. NETC.com. There it is. And you tell me. Now, I'm a physicist, and I worked with military, and I'm trying to give you some heads up. Everything changes. It doesn't have to be bad. It is going to be bad for your children because their thyroids are undeveloped, whereas it won't probably bother you. What you need to do is get nascent iodine and start your tests on whether or not you need it or not. Thyroid will be what hits the children. It already is 48% of the children that are 6 years old or younger all have thyroid. 48% have thyroid anomalies in Tokyo. That's documented. So here we are with no news release because it's against the law, and the clouds are now starting to fall with weather.
Okay, my YouTube is, my Yahoo isn't getting me there. Give me again a completer.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. It's www.netc.com.
Yeah.
That's it. Go ahead and fire it up. And with that, that's Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center. And it's all over. I would recommend that some of the food you buy now might want to have a Geiger counter to it. That's why you should eat local food, not food brought in from who knows what country. You should start doing CSA, community supported agriculture, buying your food from the farmer's market, not the grocery store. That's a good place to start, just like water. I told you I have steps. These are all changes of lifestyle, all of which will empower you more, sovereignty, and are healthy, including don't drink any soda anymore. How about that one? You got to.
Oh, I quit decades ago. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, how about GMOs? Anything with wheat in it. Wheat has now been weaponized for H. pylori and some other creepy T. gundi from a cat.
Which are what?
T. gundi is an organism that you got from a cat. It's a bacteria you got from a cat if it was up near your mouth and you purred on it. That is 70% of America has it in their gut. It's inert unless you're eating wheat. And it's not about galadin or galatomorphin. And I have a smoking gun reference. It's called little mind benders. Once that bacteria gets across your blood-brain barrier, they've got you. And so you can get rid of it. And you can start by stop eating anything with wheat in it. There it is. And
you're not the only one I said it, but can you give a little explanation of maybe why? Because people might not get the drift. I get it because I was a herbalist.
Well, I try to move it so that everybody has to stretch a little bit.
Oh, well, good luck on that.
Okay, here's the deal. You are not human. You're probably about 10% human, and the rest of you is a habitat for bacteria, mold, yeast, candida, whatever, sugar. You are no longer what you eat. You are whom you feed.
Right.
Now, once you get that picture, now you have a better perspective of how you got to manage yourself on another level.
Right on. Yep.
I'm trying to hit you dead on here.
Well, that's so good and true and simple and straight because that's exactly how I see it too. Keep going.
Well, then there it is. You are whom you feed. And if you eat more sugar, you're going to have your armpits stinking from candida. And what you do is you cut back on your sugars. Okay. Everybody's different. Everybody metabolizes things differently. You're a different habitat. You're a different universe. And so most of your cold fusion production, I have a technical paper at Cornell now and through its third review called Cold Fusion Processes with Special Application to Adenosine Triphosphate. ATP turns out to geometrically be a quark gluon plasma. There it is.
Okay, and can you say that again slowly so I can hear it? It was Can you
ATP. ATP, the little thing that oxygen fires off that causes all cold fusion processes. A guy named Kurban got a Nobel Prize for it on the biological transmutations in man, where he talked about sodium and potassium. And so we know cold fusion is going on in the body. Where? Well, it is the molecule ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And that little molecule is a vortex, quark gluon vortex, just like Roger Penrose discusses at Princeton and his geometric universe. Now, when you understand what ATP's purpose is, that's one of the reasons why Chapter 1 in Power Tools started Navy SEALs with polysaccharides, the sugars found in pharmaceutical mushrooms. Cancers are absolved as a byproduct because cancer cannot exist in an oxygen-rich environment, so you're eating foods that put oxygen into the body on a cellular level, polysaccharides. And that's a sugar, big long-ass sugar, and as it breaks down, it releases oxygen. There it is. And, that would be your reishi, maitake, the usual 72 different ones. We have hybridized one, Cordyceps sinensis, with the CS4 cultivar that is hybridized so that it has 5.4 times the polysaccharides found in nature. When you eat that, that's a true superfood. And when you mix it with transfer factor, where you're doing a diagram of relationship of one food group to another, which is the way my book is written in metaphor, now with transfer factor, you have a true antibiotic substitute. And we have done feedlots up in Skagway and Nanaimo, where instead of putting antibiotics in the feed in the fish tanks, we put the cordyceps in it. And what happened is there was no disease, and the salmon increased 30% in protein. And in one study, there was absolutely no kill. Not one single fish died. That's impossible. What I'm doing now for the military is going up to Lost Creek and other fish hatcheries that we have in Oregon to determine what our throughput is. And right now, see, Lost Creek on the Rogue River, on Lost Creek Dam and all of that, was closed down for like 20 years as a fish hatchery. It's now in full production. Holy Water, which is fly fishing only, is pulling out 50-pound salmon, and they already now have been up, so they've got 3-year-olds ready for release. And I have to tell you, there was enough protein at Lost Creek to feed the entire state of Oregon. Every state has resources like that that will cause and be available when change is required. What you need to do today is start focusing on water and disciplining your mind with some form of meditation and breathing exercise. That's essential. If you do that, you will be moving toward your own personal level, taking responsibility for your own evolution. That's how it works. And
the funnest part about that too, isn't it? That like attracts like, and then we get a better conversation and we learn more from others or with others, or from ourselves because of others. You know what I mean?
think that going outside the body is not where the real answers are. Right. I have found personally that you have to go inside. That's where everything starts, and that's where your real dialogue begins.
Know your gut.
Yeah, you keep a diary, and what you're going to do is eventually end up with a language of how to talk to your higher self, which is always talking to you. In Jungian imaginal psychology, it's illness. And when you don't get something that the subconscious is trying to see, it escalates. And it keeps escalating until you get the message. Once you know what the message is, there's no need for the sickness, and the sickness goes away, including cancer. It's a metaphor. And so once you get that relationship with yourself, now the possibilities are wide open for changing the movie.
Can I ask you a question? Did you delve into a part where when you recognize that, where like body parts and what area it would represent? Because, like the ear represents the whole physical fetus of the body.
That's from the Nei Jing and acupuncture. It's in fetal position. That is correct. But that's just an acupuncture thing in a system that had no internal medicine.
Right, but I'm thinking about, do you have an idea of a chart or how to identify?
They're arbitrary. They're different for each of us. We have,
cool.
rays of light. Start there.
That's the way I like it too, right? Because we're each a different vibration, right?
And whatever. Or you're body type, like you're a feeling intuitive. Yeah, lots of different systems, Carol. That's the one I use.
Who?
I use the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation. Yes, as a Hermetic Kabbalist, the
neat.
Well, it's just one system, no one done arbitrary, and 7 chords in an octave. That's the way my book is structured, so that it's Fibonacci. But that system is arbitrary. It's a way of filing information. You got physical, emotional, intellectual, archetypal. That's Timothy Leary in my workbook, chapter 8, on the 8 neurologic circuits of Timothy Leary. And I use that as my system of breaking down means, how the brain processes information. And you will find that they have to do with tribes before you have communities and and the way you evolve in your fear structure of survival. And I have studied this from a variety of, I'm a polymath. That means I'm a medical doctor, I'm a Jungian psychotherapist, and I'm a physicist.
You're a busy man.
No, I was a whiz kid that collected merit badges. But
right.
Well, that's what I did. Okay, I had an eidetic memory. I'm basically a 4-year-old that has never become 7. So I get it. And now I'm 72. What do you want to know? Here, look.
Oh, honey.
Well, no, I'm a polymath. But here's the deal. We're all this way. And if we chose to look at certain things slightly differently, now doors open that were previously closed.
And it's not putting a stop hold on anything because it's always in change.
Well, you have your Christian beliefs folded up neatly in a drawer that may not be, survivably useful in Iraq. And, where you're dealing with, well, I mean, it's going to get you shot. So,
or even on the border of the United States these days.
What is the big god of the clavicle and the Greater Keys of Solomon? It was the spell of invisibility, low profile. You don't speed and the police don't notice you.
I've tried that and it works. And the Native Americans consider it the fox.
Well, that's why they did ghost dance. That's why they had peyote rituals. It was white man gonna lose. That's called potlatch. And I listen. The American Indians are, and now some of them want to be called the First Nation, not the original or the Native Americans. They want to be the first people. Get a grip.
I know, right? It should be humanity first, because that's where the other separation came when we labeled somebody, I'm a female or a Christian or whatever, Yeah,
try this one out for creepy. If you were an alien, where would you hide in plain sight?
Exactly.
How about that 4th genome and blood types, where the war for Earth is going on inside each of us? That is an accurate way of looking at what's going on. Where did that 4th genome, rhesus negative, come from?
Oh.
Yeah, imagine that. So
what if it's rhesus positive?
Like in the movies. And Holly would, if she could. She's out there. If you want to know what's going to happen in the future, go watch The Martian. That's an accurate physics description of the way it is on Mars. How would I know? Well, let's see now. I'm doing the Mars project in Kailua. That is a 30-foot geodesic dome that is printed in concrete and 1 foot thick, and then is layered with cadmium for a radiation shield with an aqua vertical form system buried underground on Mars. It's in Kailua. It is part of PacificDomes.com, and the 3D printer will print a 30-foot dome in 24 hours.
Is there any other kind of habitation up there? Because I'd like it here where it used to be green.
You mean all the underground caves that are there, like the Hollow? Get a grip. This is, of course.
What am I supposed to get a grip of, Richard? Wait a minute.
Okay, Mars and the asteroid belt.
Okay.
Previous epochs. And you can count on Earth getting hammered. And even if Nibiru, whatever, doesn't do a 90-degree pole shift, you can read about that one in Greg Bear's book, Epoch. He's a science fiction writer that talks about a mantle shift 100 miles down of soil that shifts, so nothing lives on Earth. And what happens next? That's an interesting book. And really, a bunch of aliens show up, take 144,000 of them up into space to witness it as the mother dies, and the witnessing in your genetic code with structured water. Because the structure in water will absolutely hold enough information on previous and future lives. There's your time travel. Quantum mechanics going into a holographic system of reality.
But is that why they destroyed the oceans? So the memory would get taken away?
Go back to that one. Yeah, I don't know for a fact. What I do know is there is no Gulf Stream anymore, and the temperature of the ocean has risen 2 degrees above what brought on the Jurassic period. There will be a day after tomorrow, probably in 2025. I posted one that's saying 2050, but you know what? There it is.
It's all up the mother.
3,600 years of recycle with various epochs. And what I do with the military, one of the things I'm doing now is vetting previous epoch technologies like dance and how it changed space-time with Whirling Dervish, Ghost Dance, and the movement of Kate Bush, what's her name, Gabriel Roth, and how body movement in space changes space-time just like sound.
Interesting.
Now, that's what I do. Now, I'm a physicist, and I am a good one, which means I try not to be too speculative. I try to be close to Occam's razor.
So that means that all the elementals and elements know who you are.
You mean the lesser key, the Goetia? The 72 Lemegeton. You know, if you go back, I taught demonology at Georgetown to graduate students when I was back last. And I'm a scholar in that area. The Lemegeton are 72. And when you look at Beelzebub, its actual name and where it came from Babylonian star maps, you will notice
that we have come to break, and we will be right back. This is a short break. Thanks. Howdy! Here you are, Adventures of a Feral Hippie, here at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. All right, let me get my glasses on straight so I can see here. And I want to welcome back Mr. Miller. And you've got some things going on too, like let's do a quick promo for your GoFundMe thingy.
Well, I have, or had, 10 manuscripts that were ready to go to press, but I didn't have any money to do it. I mean, you know, I'm like everybody else. And so I started a GoFundMe, and what that did is afford enough that 3 of those 10 manuscripts have now gone to press.
Way cool.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to make my books happen. And I think you'll find that everything I've ever written, all the way back from Anarchist Cookbook and Magical Mushroom Handbook, Legal Highs, stand as classics. They all continue to sell. The one that went out of print this last month was The Potential of Herbs as a Cash Crop. After, Chuck Walters died, Akers moved down with his oldest son, and after 20 years, that book, they decided not to go into, print on demand, and so they gave it to me, and I just went back to press with it, and now have it back in print because it's a classic. The Potential of Herbs as a Cash Crop. I sent you one of 360 PDFs I've written just in farming alternative crops, and 2 more of the Encyclopedia of Alternative Agriculture just went into print. That's a 5-volume set, of which only volume 1 is out right now. And so there it is.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me to ask you what you think about turkey tail and lion mane mushrooms.
Those are 72 of the pharmaceutical mushrooms that grow regionally everywhere. Lion's mane and turkey tail is stuff you have in North Carolina. And so you can grow those and make your own food sources. And what you're growing, turkey tail and is for beta glucans, which are another sugar. You have sugar molecule, a little dot here, and then you have beta glucans. Beta glucans are complex sugars that look like invading large viruses or very small bacteria. And if you mix that, a blend of 6 of them, turkey tail, lion's mane, Coriolis, some others, you will have a true antibiotic substitute when you mix it with transfer factor. It'll put that enzyme up there on the cell wall looking for a lookalike, invading bacteria. Now, polysaccharides are also sugars, and they're also in those two, but more in some of the others like reishi and maitake. And the polysaccharides are the ones that deliver oxygen to the body on a cellular level. They sharpen the NK killer cells like beta glucans do, and oxygen, causing everything to work better.
I want more. I mean,
yeah, right about it. We have Adele Chandler. I used to sell these because I made them I actually grew them for the seals, and then we have Aloha Medicinals and some of these other pharmaceutical houses that are now producing them, but you can do them at home. And
well, what's the rad for Hawaii?
The what?
What's the rad numbers for Hawaii?
Oh, Hawaii just came out with a psychedelic mushroom that will make women have better orgasms. How about that? It was in all the papers yesterday.
Oh, I believe in Jesus too, okay, to a degree.
Louder and longer. Well, that's what we all want, you know.
You just got to find a partner who knows how to do business, you know, and that's the hardest thing ever. Oh, it should be anyway.
Girls just like to have fun. There you are, Cyndi Lauper. Well, I guess you could grow your own. I grow my own. I have reishi growing on wood everywhere around me. It's all the timber. You have it there in North Carolina, up in the woods more. The button mushroom you get at Safeway, the agaricus, is a hybrid of Agaricus lazii, which is the one primarily used in pharmaceutical. Why it's used? It grows bigger. That's more for the same effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is. That's all. But you can eat button mushrooms. There it is. Polysaccharides. Yeah.
You also have to have good ingredients, though, to grow them, because I had family who did them buttons in Amish land, Pennsylvania, who used their black Angus steer stools to grow their mushrooms. But I've also seen where China did this great idea. They grew corn in a desert, but they used plastic. Now, we're all got plastic in us. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it. Well, and they started growing corn. They started growing corn, and the corn fed a certain amount, and then they chopped up all the rest of the corn and added it to fungus in bags in caves. Because if we're going to be without sunshine, aren't we going to need another alternative?
Here, yes. What you need to do is go see The Martian and how he did it with his own Live on Mars.
Okay. Oh, the movie. I see what you're saying now. I got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Go see The Martian.
I like him, too, as an actor.
Yeah, that's an excellent movie. I'm going to guess he's going to get a nomination for an Academy Award. I think that movie will probably win some Academy Awards. It's that well done. Scientifically, it is as accurate as 2000 and Space One when it came out back in the early years. Now, I'm going to tell you this, honestly. Coppola and some of the others that tried to be accurate, that's what this director did. He did. It's like trying to do The Hobbit or the
Last Airbender,
the
Avatar.
You can't capture. It's almost impossible for a movie to capture the essence of a book like Dune, and yet they did close with Dune. Now, I'm going to say they did the same thing with The Martian. The Martian is an incredible book to read as a science fiction book, but the movie is close. The director is probably going to get a nomination because of his accuracy. Mm-hmm. Now, you want to watch him growing potatoes on Mars? He uses his own poop. Watch how he does it. That's accurate. that's what the Martian brings, is the fact that we're already on Mars cultivating.
Right.
And we already know what the sciences are. There's more water on Mars than there is Earth.
Oh.
Mars was most likely a previous epoch when Nibiru went through and it destroyed all man, and they relocated here, probably. And Van Allen built.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know. I'm a physicist. I go with Occam's razor, and we know that Nibiru is coming through. I just gave you a post there. That ought to be really interesting.
That was freaked, but I've seen it etherically and materially to the point of knowing there is nothing but fact behind something is happening.
Why would NASA, in the movie The Day After Tomorrow, when that fat slob after the president's dead takes over and is making decisions for the country's own good, who makes that for me when I'm the smartest man I know? Who decides they know better for me than I do?
Right.
That's not right from natural law. And Aleister Crowley calls that Liber Oz. And so here we are at the end of days. And we need to make certain stands within ourselves of commitment. And it is like Carl Sagan said to Allie, one step at a time, small steps, Allie. You start with a garden. You put your soil in and you start beefing it up. It took me 3 years before I got my garden's soil right. Once I had it right, I then had to spend 2 years learning how to maximize pruning, marijuana, and other things so that they flushed out correctly and gave me high yield. The fifth year was how to harvest from that garden correctly. And the sixth year was how to can. And the seventh year is learning how to eat out of the cupboards. It's a slow process, a journey. And so when you see it as a process, it doesn't have an end to it. That's the beginning of the evolution of your own consciousness. That's how it works.
Well, I do like this idea of not wanting to create mass panic, but I also get the drift that we got to prepare for almost anything. So I'd love to have that fungus.
There are some things you can't prepare for. Like a pole shift of 90 degrees, where all life is wiped. Now, we have Mars and we have the space station, and we're making a ladder so we can go out into space, using fullerene molecules. With graphene, 100 times stronger than diamond, used as a deployment weapon for a neutron fullerene fusion bomb, 1.4 nanometers. That's what it is. They put either exclusion zone water in it, in which case it forms microtubules to remove toxic ionizing radiation from the body, or you put deuterium in it, in which case you can activate it with a teleportation laser from Lockheed, and you now have a way to make steel vaporize.
Did that happen in the China explosion of the warehouse or the docking station? That was...
No, I don't know what that's really about. I'm going to guess.
But isn't that interesting?
Are such that it's probably some terrorist group that's trying to say something like save the whales. Yes, it's probably a militant group like, Greenpeace out there doing more militant demonstration. Santa Barbara and the grid collapse of Santa Barbara was done by some SEALs purposely with nobody killed to show how vulnerable our grid is locally. When the Santa Barbara grid went down, they've made a movie on that called Dark Star. It'll be coming out this next month with people like Matt Stein in it, talking about 400 Chernobyls and where we're at right now. Congressman agreeing. The first thing that needs to happen politically is that we turn the switch off. And that's in all TVA-related nuclear power plants in your vicinity immediately. That's what we did here on the West Coast. That's the way it is. Hanford is now leaking in the Columbia River. I wouldn't doubt that the tuna that they're pulling out with high levels of radiation is from Hanford, not Fukushima. And yes, Fukushima is falling everywhere globally right now because of the weather change. Here we are. Now you have choices and change. And it's going to require hygiene changes and the way you do.
Right, I get that. That was so good. Can you re-say that again? Because it even be if volcanoes went off or whichever, you got to have separate units to
Yeah,
keep
you don't want to track. Look, the Japanese culture, which by the way will disappear in your lifetime. Japan will no longer exist as a continent sometime in your lifetime. It will fall into that big crevice there. Now, basically, the Japanese take their shoes off at the door.
Right.
Okay, what would you think walking outside with all the radioactivity around and bringing in his dust?
Well, I appreciate you telling me.
Well, it's a way to look at things. And if you don't know, don't presume. Get a Geiger counter.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
the
no,
whole thing.
check
Isn't
it
that
out.
the whole message, Richard, is don't presume?
Yeah, don't presume. Check it out. You know,
Oh,
for yourself.
goodness.
I'm going to recommend that everybody in North Carolina do panels right now on aluminum and barium oxide poisoning.
Say it again.
I'm going to recommend that everybody in North Carolina immediately check out blood panels for aluminum and barium oxide poisoning.
Oh. Is there a smell to these conditions? I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I gave you that too. It's 18 different kinds of chemtrails that you smell or taste in your mouth because they're deploying different kinds of things to do what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can tell you that the United Nations right now has an extinction protocol in that there are too many people in the world.
Creeps.
The man that invented the Motorola chip for cell phones was on Mike Wallace 6 times before he died of a brain tumor, the 6th time he was on. And each time, Mike would ask him, why did they choose the 5 megahertz bandwidth? And his response was, because it had an LD50 ratio and there were too many people in the world. In the next few years, all cell phones will require a warning label like they originally did not put on tobacco.
They're just taking too much of our good things that we need to survive away. No, that just doesn't that.
No. That's the big lie. See, that's what commercialism. It's a new car, you know.
Oh, well, that's ego, honey. But yeah, it just depends on where our mindset is. Right.
Around here are using old Czech military vehicles that will withstand CMAs and ELF spikes for weapons. And you can count on a Carrington effect because we had a kill shot just a few weeks ago that missed us by 1 week.
Really?
We would have all been back in the Stone Age if the thing had been 1 week later. There it is.
As the world turns. Oh, my gosh.
And with that, it requires a lifestyle change. And it's not that bad. We need to move away from electricity. You can Ford originally ran vehicles off alcohol. Oh, well, guess what? You can grow that with comfrey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love comfrey.
Oh, then there it is. And so.
And hemp and cannabis.
Then at the end of the year, you take your biomass and you make alcohol out of it. Simple. That's David Bloom. And with, there are lots of areas.
Wasn't that the first reason why they created the GMOs for the alcohol fuel, but that didn't go? They went to our food sources.
Monsanto originally was a small company under DuPont as a weapons company, making Agent Orange, Paraquat, and 2,4-D. That's what they did. And in 1999, they got into the seed business and started collecting seed with Bill Gates et al., and then moved to the big leagues with GMOs, which are now being turned into weapons.
Yeah.
And Monsanto is no longer under DuPont. In fact, Monsanto is much larger than old man DuPont. It's all changed with the Bushes and how it's all working now. And that video is also from yesterday. I posted it on JFK assassination to 9/11. That video is a must-watch by everyone. It's accurate. It isn't meant to be bad. It's called empowerment because with knowledge, then you can make a better decision on what you want to do with yourself.
And with that information as well.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say that what you want to do is be with your close friends. You want to choose who you're in the bunker with. And there are
Right.
certain things you can't prepare for. Okay? What you can do is be with your friends and have the right attitude of death in terms of what it is and what it is not.
Right.
And the movie I recommend people watch in that regard was the one I saw 2 weeks before my father shot himself. It was called Astral City. And you can get a free access to that on Hulu. And so Astral City is about this doctor watching himself die on an operating table. And at the moment of his death, what happens next? And tomorrow I'm having dinner with a minister, Seventh-day Adventist minister, because we've been talking about the moment of death and what it is and what it is not. And I remember I studied with Kubler-Ross and James Hillman, and then spent 2 weeks in the jungles with Eben Alexander and his wife on his book, Proof of Heaven. I have my own ideas on what death is and what it is not. And I've written books on that subject called The Modern Alchemist,
Neat.
you know, and personal transformation, a guide.
I love
on
it.
how to do it for yourself, how to take responsibility. And hey,
I bet I read your books and don't even know it, because everything you're saying is just like, yeah, he's so right on.
Well, I am a time traveler. I am literally, my future is speaking to me at this very moment and literally changing my past. At the past, when I did Navy SEALs, they didn't exist. What were they? SEAL Corporation. And the SEAL was a symbol for sealing something out of Amherst. It was a Blackwater. I was a physicist brought in as a hired gun to make super soldiers. And I wrote books on how to do that. But now these are things any of us can do.
Right.
Breath control. You know, with breath control, you now can experience your martial art boxing as a form of Tai Chi.
I love Tai Chi.
Time is the duration of consciousness. It's not real. It's the way you store memory. And so you change in dangerous situation or at will your perception. And now you have a control of space time.
I just called that it's you getting out of the way.
Well,
because even their push hands.
Let them battle it out. They love it. You know,
well, that's what it is. To me, it was the most beautiful art I ever saw when they did the canes and all that. I lived with somebody who did it for over 12 years. It's an amazing discipline. It really is.
So I saw a martial art when I was 4 years old. I was in a Buddhist temple in the Philippines, and I went to a Buddhist school. And my parents were Indochina theater during the war. It was 1948. So and cool. I am, and they put a cobra and a rhesus monkey in Mortal Kombat. They're chained. They have to fight each other. And the cobra went up in classic snake style, struck at monkey, and monkey had its face forward. And when the snake struck, monkey stepped backward and captured snake. And that's why all Chinese forms of martial arts, which are about 2,000 years older than Japanese,
have a name, right, with an animal.
They use it all. It was never about aggression or attack.
That's right.
It was response.
Defense.
That was Shaolin, and that was called Hangao, which was a form of dragon. My daughter studies Hangar, which is southern form like Wing Chun, but my form was Hangao. And then as a switch hitter, I studied Pakwa, which was a Thai form of boxing. And I did a lot of kicking. And my dragon and kick forms then studied with Bruce Lee under Skip Ellsworth and Fred Williams. We were all under John Leong in Seattle before Bruce went down and formed his own forms. I'm that old. And I did it all the way through. They called me Twinkle Toes only once in football. When I was at high school football, people don't know this, but Clarence Williams was playing for Renton, and I was right linebacker and had to take him out. And coach said, "Oh yeah, really." He was L.A. Rams All-American and went to Washington State University, where I did, and we went to the Rose Bowl. But he called me the Dragon because they carried me off the field. It was about mass. He's twice my size. This big black tank coming around the end.
You got mowed over.
Well, I had to take him out, and I did a cross body block, and I took him out.
Oh,
but
good.
I wiped myself in the process. Well, that's like Yeah. And from then on, he was always my friend.
You learn to know where your chi is, right? With intent.
My chi got knocked out of me and over there laying on the ground there somewhere. Yeah, you mean my Tantian.
Yeah, looking up some cheerleader
That's
skirt,
all
I bet,
written about in the book, in my power tools, where I'll talk about alchemy and Qigong, where you change the moisture between your tongue and palate to move the air better. Now, there's techniques that Sifu's taught me. And I had a Chan Buddhist teach me how to change my perception of time with breath control. No. And you start with straws blowing bubbles, and then you move to a didgeridoo, and then eventually you go like Kill Bill into an American Indian flute, and you can show anger when you can blow a key, single key, for 9 minutes like Kenny G. Now I'll show you anger.
I don't doubt it, because I can get the drift of the reality of the phonics of how the elemental system works.
Yeah, it's all done, and there's always a physical, emotional, intellectual, and archetypal element to it. Okay, and as you...
Sounds like a tarot card reading layout.
Okay, but there's 4 more, because that's Leary's 8 neurologic circuits. There's 7 chords and an octave. And as above, so below. Holographic deals with information and resolution of information, whereas quantum realities deal in space-time. And what you know is space-time and time are not real. They are simply subsets in one dimension. And when you go to the Bose-Einstein condensate, where you have two particles that are somehow simply connected at opposite ends of the universe. Okay. How does that work? Well, in a holographic system, it is the same particle with 2 different cameras on it. And one, the fish is coming out of the screen at you, and the other, it's swimming by you. But it's
the yin yang.
Well, it's a metaphor, if you will, on dealing with information rather than space-time. With space-time, you have Heisenberg and uncertainty principles. That means the more you know about one thing, the less you know about another. There's a belief system that is limited, because you can only know so much about a certain thing, whether it's a wave or a particle. However, if you then go over into a holographic system, that opens doors that a quantum system cannot.
Oh, I love Buckminster Fuller. He was some of my best reading, and since I had on the architecture way, you should know these things to a certain degree, you know?
So that's one of my books that's going to press, is the work I did for Buckminster Fuller called The Marshall Papers. Bob Marshall was the idiot savant that derived the concept of a vector equilibrium matrix. The center of it was mathematically impossible. And that's what the basic foundation of a geodesic dome and the buckyball concept of taking 60 carbon atoms and relating them to each other. Now, that book is called The Marshall Papers. And what we did is we took pictures of all of Bob's handwritten work as an idiot savant. I translated those for Buck. That's how I worked for Buck. My ex-wife, Iona, and I did that work. And then I have given that to a bunch of what they call numerologists. Actually, they're hedronists that work in sacred geometry, and they've added comment. One chapter, for example, in the Marshall Papers, is when there is a challenge to the mathematical community for a mathematical expression for recurring primes. And nobody in 100 years since Riemann challenged the universe to do that has anybody been able to do that. Bob Marshall did it visually in 2 weeks by drawing a pyramid with a certain pitch and then running numbers around it as another pyramid going in the opposite direction, where you could draw a straight line through it for recurring primes.
It sounds like the Merkaba.
Merkaba,
thank you.
Merkaba is what I did my work on, called the Diamond Body, Electromagic, and Yogatronics, unpublished, with Jeremy Tarcher on video feedback system for the military. And that's stuff that Tarcher will probably do now with Penguin at some point, but is unpublished now. Those are three, and then the dodecahedral universe was published in Green Egg, and other journals on the work I did with Roger Penrose at Princeton. I studied with Roger Penrose in physics. I took his courses in mathematical physics. So I have that academic background as well.
Yeah, kinda.
Well,
mean, you were just set to be one of those angels to do the best you can and share. I just love this. This is so
that's
cool.
what I am. I'm a human being eating a Raoul. The that I wrote for was Stranger in a Strange Land, based on Hyland's Stranger in a Strange Land. It was neo-pagan with Tim and Morning Glory Zell. We used to call Morning Glory Moaning Glory. She made a lot of noise, but she's dead now. And now the old Randy Goat's got a bunch of other ladies with him, so there he should be okay. He's at Humboldt, in that area, Katati, whatever. They're all up there doing it. And
good for them, really, seriously.
Yeah, well,
I'll be living.
The witchcraft movement through North America, a lot on your East Coast. I've seen a lot of neo-pagan.
I'm known to have any given idol before me. It's just me.
Just Billy and the boys.
You know what I mean?
Billy Idol. Yeah, there he is. Actually, I preferred David Bowie. When David was really famous, I had this magic shop in Seattle, and he would, every time he came into North America, he'd always come into my shop to get books he couldn't find, even in England. And later, I got to meet Annie Lennox, who is
my gosh.
And, female David Bowie. They're both out there as the best singers in their field. And then the third song I might do might be, in a review I did, was with Oregon, doing Witchy Taito, the morning song after the party's over.
In my world, I want never the party to end, because then who gets to clean it up? Okay, we'll be right back. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm excited for what I'm listening to, because we need to know this information. And since we are listener supported, I do hereby suggest go to the donate, go to the homepage, freedomslist.com, or come into chat and do the donate thing, because we don't want to miss beautiful venues of this nature, because this is truth coming out. And it's been a fun ride. And I like going on fun rides, Mr. Richard Allen Miller. So I hope this won't be our first date. Or I do hope this is our first date. We've talked in the background.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? I hope there's future dates,
Yeah, I do lots of radio. I'm trying to be accessible, and I best respond to specific questions.
Okay, because we got through the mushroom book, and then you said something about the other books. So if people wanted to get any of these various, how many do you have?
I have a major title for every single year I'm out of graduate school. They're not in print yet. I have 4 or 5 smaller PDF things for each year as well. I am, if nothing more, prolific. That's what I've been doing.
Now, if people wanted to purchase this, though, where will they go to find it?
And you can find me anywhere. Go to richardallenmiller.com, and that will take you to my books, or you can go directly to oak-publishing.com. You can go, and that will redirect. You can go to docram.com. That's Facebook. And up at the top, there'll be a store, and they'll take you right there. Lots of roads to Rome. I'm easy to find. I'm on Amazon. Most people use PayPal. You can, like someone that's coming through today, going to stop by and pick up my books on his way driving through.
Nice.
You know, I'm easy. I'm accessible. I live in Grants Pass. Everybody must always call first. I have a lot going on. Sometimes I'm on radio. You heard my phone ring. That means somebody that didn't know I was on radio while I was doing it with you on Skype.
I've
Yeah.
been posting this for 24 hours, so somebody needs to look on my wall too, right?
I have about 6,000 people a day on Facebook.
That's
So,
cool.
well, yeah, it's just, you know, wanting to see what I'm thinking about today. That's at docram.com. And there's stores right up in the header there. You'll see there's a little thing there where you can go to one of my stores. And
Now,
it'll right to Oak.
Since we brought up mushrooms, how did you facilitate with the other gardening things that you've been doing? Do you have a facility that has all that where somebody can come and witness it and get an idea?
Yeah. My office manager, Adele Chandler, is running roguevalley.medicinals.com. And it's herbal pharmacy. And what we're doing is trying to put out the products that you might need to armor yourself against geoengineering or some of the radiation things. Fullerene waters. There's a bunch of things where people have been, the Russians and the Ukrainians have been doing studies with fullerene waters using exclusion zone water inside a fullerene molecule, C60, that is C60 molecule, and they make nanotubes out of it. They give lethal doses of radiation to rats and then feed them the fullerene waters with a 95% recovery. It goes in and isolates ionizing radiation like metaphyllin and some of the other brown algae will do with heavy metals, lithium, boron, mercury, some of the others. There are things that you'll want to use for your thyroid, like nascent iodine. We have all of those kinds of things available. I'm not doing it anymore. What I'm doing now is mostly writing. That's what I do every day. I write. And I'm right now, the chapter on the non-local mind is on structured water and how psyche is brought into matter.
Thank
chapter
you.
6.
Cool.
Yeah, well,
I've lived this way, and that's what I've really tried to contain to being. And I fought for water.
Using natural sources. That's how originally everything came from natural sources. And it wasn't until World War II and World War I, when our raw material supplies were cut off from Germany, that we started synthesizing things like valerian root, Valium sulfate. But with that, but I was the one that wrote the first chemistry of herbs. I was out there in the 45 years ago identifying what's in Ibogaine. Ibogaine is from Kapi vine. It's an African vine. Will stop all forms of addiction with one single use in clinical application only. And the USDA called me because I'm generally considered the most knowledgeable in chemistry of herbs in the world, and like Ibogaine and some of the others. And what is happening is they refused to study it because it was not native to the United States. And so what I did is had a friend of mine in Homestead, Florida, put in 2 acres of it just before the hurricane hit and climatized it. And now it's being studied in 11 universities, Ibogaine. And what I did when I first became familiar, I saw a guy named Lotsoff took a 16-year IV user off Amsterdam Park, took him into clinical application with cameras on him for 30 hours during the nightmares that he went through. Near death. Wawidi of the Fang call it the initiation. And what happened was, it basically, nobody knows how it works because it's not site selective. So what the French have suggested is it rewrites the basic boot ups of your, we call PGO waves in the occipital region.
I was thinking an exorcism, but go ahead.
Yeah. Out damn spot, remove yourself. That's bleach and whatever. But yes.
No hypodermics here, hon. Only tattoo guns, okay?
Yeah, I studied the Goetia. I am the reason we left this off last time on Enoch, the Book of Enoch, is why that was left out of the Bible is that it gave you the names of all 72 Lemegeton, the fallen angels of the Lemegeton. And once you had the demon's name, you had control of it. That's what all exorcisms are about, getting the demon's name.
Can I bring something up? Because I really wouldn't rather go there, but have they commercially made the name applicable for people to think it's just a ha-ha cute name for labeling something and that it's actually fulfilling some kind of energy power to become itself?
The correct response to that would be yes, all of the above.
Okay.
Of course. Anything you could possibly imagine is true and more. If you can imagine it, you can assume it's now true.
Right.
That's accurately correct.
It sounds scientific to me.
No. It's the way it is. And science has, there are scientific explanations of all the laws in physics. They change every 20 years. It's a mind's eye where it all happens. And once you get it there, doesn't matter how you connect your dots. That part turns out to be arbitrary. And science for today is magic tomorrow. That would be, magic is basically high-end physics with a mystery school. You don't need to, cybernetic anthropology. Laughlin, D'Aquili, and McManus. That's when you have the idea that you have magical thinking, like Aborigine, where the woman doesn't really think about how an internal engine combustion works when she puts her little ritualistic key in the notch and turns it. She has expectations of realities. And that's called magic. And that is, you know how to use it, even though you don't know why it works that way or this way, because
most people have been trained that because they don't own their own selves, that it's taken their lives away from them. Because
that's why it's a good argument for why you need to start training your mind. It's unruly and controlled.
Actually, isn't it kind of like an undisciplining of habits that just don't grow you anything? And then,
oh yeah, and it takes 3 months to change a habit. You have to be actively proactive by putting notes on the refrigerator and the toilet, or whatever habit you're trying to break. That's the deal. It takes 3 months, periods of the moon.
Interesting, because I usually am quicker than that. But.
So you have to be actively putting energy into the system you want to change.
Right. That's true.
You do it once, you do it again. That's my first book in the series, ESP Induction Through Forms of Self-Hypnosis, How to Think with the Gut. And once you have that idea of a mathematical expression for consciousness where it's it's like a ritual. You keep putting energy into the same thought form to the point where it manifests into the physical world. That's how it works.
So avoid anger, avoid aggression, avoid things that are harm-filled, you know?
Yeah, anger is a good tool to get a floor washed.
That's true, but you know, I've been in that mode where I know I've broken glass in an anger mode because of the.
Well, you want to be you don't want to be destructive. You want to be
constructive.
So
right.
Use that belief, anger. You use that emotion as a tool.
So all men can wash their cars and women can wash their floors. Is that it?
No, women usually have EQ considered higher than IQ, and men don't have a clue.
I'm not. Can you say that again?
I know. I'm just trying to appease the goddess in you. Now, with that said, yeah, I know how to get it too, but that's not. I
believe you.
Sex magic. Here's the Masonic secret.
Okay.
The thought that occurs at the moment of climax happens. There it is. That's how it works.
My castle got foreclosed on, sweetheart.
Well, you've got to consume the Eucharist. I'm not even going to go there.
Okay, not today, no, but you know. There's always foreplay, okay? We forgot the foreplay.
Hey, that's what it's all about. It's all foreplay.
I was a phone whore for about 2 years, supporting a husband and 3 kids. And tell you what, it's pretty ugly out there, but there are still things that can be. I would do meditation in clouds and have them rest. And it sounds sexual to them, but they're looking for it.
It's June Singer and the book Androgyny. That's where you could start your path.
All right.
You know, finding dialogue with the higher part of self. Yeah, my teacher, James Hillman, wrote a book called what was it called? Oh, yeah, animus and anima. And the difference is they're not opposites from men and women. They're quite different. That's why I live in Oregon. This is a halfway house for battered women. They turn them out up in Portland. You know, sometimes a great notion when you talk over there about even cowgirls getting the blues, feeding peyote to geese so they don't leave. Oh, even cowgirls get the blues. Tom Robbins. He lived in the back end of my magic shop when he was a stringer at the PI and wrote another roadside attraction. That's how old I am. I'm like, I dedicated my mushroom book to Tom Robbins.
Did you ever see the movie 40 Carats?
Yes, I did.
And one of my favorite movies. So there, I hit you on some carrots.
So in that same venue, I like Peter Sellers in his last movie, being there, where he did walk on water at the end of the movie. Everything is in metaphor.
But it's all feasible to me.
Yes.
Because
this is an important concept. In the tree of life, going back to the garden, there are the outer paths of male and female. And the last two paths that go from pod, Netzach, into God is the hermit or the lovers. We talked about, that's the two paths.
Yeah, but that's God. Gemini and Virgo as well. Go ahead.
And what connects them in the Sea of Abyss, the Doth, the missing Sephiroth, Sea of Karanzan, is humor. You laugh your way through this.
I've had actual people attack me through my laughter.
Yeah, well, that's because they can't take a joke. But, you know, it sounds like a personal problem. Shoot them. You know,
they shot themselves, which was better yet. Karma can be instant. You know that,
actually,
right?
They didn't shoot themselves. They peed on themselves, and that's more accurate.
Oh, God.
Whoopsie daisies. Yeah. So what was it that you want to know?
Oh, I'm just having fun getting to know that. Do you know about shungite then? If you know the book and that, well, give me a clue.
Shungite is a type of activated charcoal that comes from a very small town in Russia. It's all about marketing. And shungite is what it is a fullerene C60 carbon atom. That is a special form of carbon where 60, instead of forming a big sheet and what we call monofiber, it forms a ball. And you can do it with 60 carbon atoms or a 120. And so that's called C60, CE120. The shungites are a combination, mostly in the C60s, and have infused in them special waters, which are exclusion zone. Now that easy water, Jerry Pollack, the fourth phase of water. Jerry was my lead in 1970 at the University of Washington, anesthesiology. I worked under him. He was not my boss because I had higher security and I was around the corner with the boys from Brazil. But Jerry has been writing on structured water, fourth phase of water, and we'll talk about exclusion zone water. That is where you take hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and you bring a third hydrogen molecule in, forming exclusion zone water, easy water. Easy water is formed by light. When you have a drop of water hit a big pool, you'll notice there's always a resplash of the drop of water going back up in the air, maybe less than halfway up. Okay, that is not a solid water. What that is exclusion zone water capturing air in what is called a cavitation ball and being studied now by Mark LeClaire at MIT as a form of cold fusion. We see it in the waves in the ocean when the leading edge goes faster. That is because that water structure is exclusion zone water forming a cold fusion, trapping a toroidal surface of air going into the out of. It's you see them behind submarines, cavitation balls, the little bubbles of air with that are surrounded by water, which is H3O2. And that is where the memory of water. There are actually 18 phases of water, one of which is on Mars. With Boyle's law, that water remains a liquid and flowing minus 100 Fahrenheit because of the pressure. P equals anarchy. And so with that, that's another phase of water. And there are these phase diagrams, and I'm writing about them so that people understand how to make exclusions on water. Now, when the water droplet hits the pool, you have an outer wave that goes out. That is called the future. And the inner wave, the one that slaps itself and forms a ball by waves going inward, is where the exclusion zone happens and captures air in what's called a topological surface, or toroid. That's Roger Penrose. And that is a form of cold fusion, and the dolphin are doing those as a form of their art form. So here we have a mammal now using cold fusion as part of their expression of art in the circles of air. You can Google that up with dolphin and air bubbles or sono.
I've seen the video. It's amazing.
Okay, well, that's a dolphin. And guess who's higher on the food chain? Orca has a cerebral cortex that's twice the size of man, and that mammal is firing 60% of it at any given moment. That mammal is God. Not our God, but going places man cannot. That is, by definition, one of the definitions I use of God is that which cannot be known.
Well, Star Trek made a movie of it, remember?
Yes, I know. They made a lot of movies. And like I said, Hollywood, if she could. And if you want to know the future, try it out, the Borg and hive consciousness. I think we have been invaded.
You think?
I think it's aliens from another star.
Right.
What Carl Sagan might have suggested in his movie Contact, they're from much further away and much closer.
Because they're all part of the source, as we are.
Well, they're different dimensional levels.
Right.
Demons, and what a demon is.
Well, that's a whole different show, Richard.
Okay, a demon is your reflection on the ground. It's your shadow.
What you call to you, right?
That's why you call it the shadow and projection of the shadow. It is a lesser aspect of you in reference to something else. And that is a scalar of you. And your brain is a four-dimensional hologram of 5 space. It's an amorphous semiconductor. That means you can change the movie.
Right.
Now, by George, I think she's got it.
Oh, you know you. I love this.
Spain stays mainly in the plane.
Oh,
the plane. Oh, that's a different movie. Sorry.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, because he is a whiz of a whiz. There it is. They also refer to me as the postman. And that's because I am a supercomputer out of Corvallis that is running a radio show as a human being.
Oh, I've appreciated
Just kidding.
it. Oh, come on.
That's
AI. There's good and bad in everything, Richard, okay?
No, there's good, bad, and ugly.
Oh, it's a matter of perspective now, okay?
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, what the hell is that? Well, what is that?
I think we're all going to die.
Hi, from New York. It's exactly. You have to go into this with a sense of humor, because otherwise you're going to become a paranoid schizophrenic. That's why I smoke.
Yeah, but the whole thing I think about those kinds of people that have been labeled are just channeling other ways and means and things. And it's just a state of affairs that we really have all lost our privilege of gaining our dominion and taking our internal fortitude back and saying, F you, my world's better than this. In my opinion, okay?
Here's a mentat I train SEALs with. Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And everything leads to something better. Now, if you do that, none will say nay. That's right from the book of the law. None will say nay. Every man and every woman is a star. How did Robert Anton Wilson put it? Oh, yes. Everybody wants to be in show business.
Your 15 minutes of fame, sir, have been served well.
So you have choice, and that is truly what made you God's favorite. That means that if you want to get out of here and do it the way you want to do it, you can.
So make plans now. Get rid of the junk.
Steps
Travel
now.
light.
Take a first step. It doesn't mean you're going to get there. It's a process. It's not about the end of the journey. It is about the journey.
So we're building a new garden, and it's time to till it.
That's the way Peter Sellers put it in Chauncey Gardner in Being There. Yes, it's like you're building the garden.
I do believe that, because I've grown up knowing that if you pull the weeds, then. But I love weeds. Weeds.
No, yeah, that's because it has a morphine-like substance in it that makes you want to eat more.
But I don't. And my pediatrician, or my obstetrician, when I was pregnant with my 17-year-old, because I told her I did, and she tried to take my daughter away from me. Feds came to the house, the whole 9 yards. And it just doesn't stay in my system. They didn't even get anything after catheterizing me and her. I mean, just over a plant. This is wrong. We need our life back. And I really do appreciate you joining me today.
Of course, I'm going to have to say this as a parting shot here. Always remember that being pedophile, spousal abuse, these are all learned behaviors. These children learn it from seeing it. And so teach your children well, because they are essentially little mini-me's of you. If you want to know what your reincarnation is, there she is, and there he is. And realize that